Oh, it's starting.
Spirits of the living, kindred welcome, an astonishing welcome on a night that we've had rainstorms and hailstones. What an amazing turnout. Welcome to everybody here at the gates who are live at the vigil. Welcome also to the Zoom vigilers coming to you via Natalie's telephone and Jackie B's leading. I think I'll just stop for a minute because I've got all flustered. Welcome, dog. Welcome to, I think, the 237th consecutive monthly vigil. There has been a human presence on the 23rd of every month at 7 o'clock, every single month, including during lockdown, every single month for the last 19 years and a certain amount of months. In July, we'll be celebrating the 20th anniversary of gathering here in the same kind of fashion, working the same rituals and rites of the Crossbones Vigil, where we honour the outcast, we refresh and renew the shrine, and we reclaim the goose's secret history. We here in the flesh to reclaim and repossess the spirit and its quest for consummation. Spirit wants to commune with us. We are here to commune with this spirit voice, this goose, this something that used John Crow's voice. I tricked mad John Crow when he was in his ecstasy to lend me his voice. John channeled the goose's words from these gates, from these very gates, to give us her secret history, her teaching. However you perceive goose, because goose is trickster spirit, goose can be anything. Whatever reason any of us here tonight suddenly thought or slowly thought, I'm going to Crossbones on this particular 23rd. What you were a fool for was the goose's siren song. Come over here, dear. We're over here. Over there, there's the world. I agree with you. Over there, there's the world, and it's, what is it? It's full of noise. It's full of endless noise and judgment and chatter and things that just don't stop. It's there all the time. And we are there as well. Where we come to reclaim the spirit, Goose says she is come. She has come to reclaim the world that was taken away. There's the world. We bring the world with us. We're just the same as the world, really. Because with us, there's judgments and noise and endless chatter. We think the thoughts go on and on and on. There's never a space for anything. But when we come here, all her children gathered there in all their multiplicity. When we come here, we don't leave the world behind. We're of the world, but we just turn ourselves inwards to come to this place, this magical, deep place And as the goose says, what comes from underground isn't subject to the rule of fear. We come to learn how to be fearless for our own underneath to rise in us. For the silence that she teaches us. When we're in the world, you can't hear that there's a space between a thing. But when we're here, we can let go a little bit. So we can observe that when the bike goes past, 1 minute ago, there was no sound. There was no bike. Then there was the bike. Nobody. What does that sound sink into? Where does that sound come from? Where does the noise of the train that rises, we hear it, and it's gone. It's gone. Like my voice rises up from the silence, and if ever I stop talking, it's gone. It's a silence. And it's not just any old, oh, that's nice and quiet. This is the silence, what is brimming with immensity. Goose says, pipe down, shut your mouth, have some respect, humility, and hearken to the silence, what is brimming with immensity. It's gone. You think our thoughts are one after the other, 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 after the other. And they are, until you slow down. And then you notice one thought comes up from our own silence. We're not looking necessarily at something that is outside us. Oftentimes we're illuminated by things that are outside us. But the silence that is outside us is answered and yearned for by the silence that's inside us. What makes me think of thought? First of all, there's silence. Then there's a spark of an idea, and then a sound comes out, and it's gone. It's the silence. Everything we do, all the noise we make, all of our time, we are time. The goose says we're time. She is eternity. Time and eternity dancing together in an intimate embrace. Just for this one moment in time, man, God, and beast communing for one moment in eternity. And what brings us all here is what's behind the gates. The goose and her outcast dead. For 200 years before this graveyard was shut in 1853, it was a graveyard for the poorest of the poor. Southwark was a place of the absolute poorest people in London. And this was the place that the church buried him. The local church, St. Saviour and St. Mary Overy, which is now Southwark Cathedral. For 200 years, this place, which we don't even know was sanctified, was a burial ground. And in those days, not only were these people who were themselves outcast, when they were buried, those outcasts were separated into other outcasts. The Catholics were over in the corner. The suicides had their own corner of their own shrine because they were so outcast, even from the very outcast. We come to reclaim this. So 200 years of burial, 15,000 15,000 people are still buried in here. Women, men, children. 60% of the souls that are still buried here are children under 16 who weren't looked upon as children of 16. When Zana first made her very first "This is still the Crossbones Graveyard" campaign, the skull that she used was the skull from the graveyard of a young woman 16 to 19 years old. The syphilitic lesions were burned into her skull. And on medical inspection, it was found that she had been repeatedly infected with syphilis from the age of 5. She wasn't born with it. She was used. When the goose comes to claim the world was taken away, imagine that child taken away. We bring our own breakages, like she and her terrible breakages. Some of us here tonight, our wounds are so painful we can hardly stand up. No wonder we come here for healing, for peace. Some of us have just got broken arms. Some of us have got broken hearts. But we all come here to reclaim and to be reclaimed, body and spirit together, whole, even in our breakages, whole. So the graveyard holds not only those 15,000 souls, it also holds the memory of the Winchester geese, who our Winchester goose comes to protect her outcast dead from any further violation. She says she was woken up when TfL dug up the graveyard to build the electricity substation that's there. Oh, just as an aside, would anybody care to look up at the moon? Shining down on us. The Winchester geese, she calls herself the Winchester goose, this outcast spirit. The Winchester geese were women who, in this medieval liberty of Winchester, a square mile of so, pretty much echoing the square mile of the city, where everything was put that the city wasn't. The city was clean. Over there, you'd swear they were the image of propriety, but row 'em over here, dear. And it's all rape and pillage and buggerage and bondage and molly boys, what jolly boys, and goose girls under 8. The women who worked in the brothels of the medieval liberty of the clink were licensed by the church to ply their prostitute trade, licensed by the Bishop of Winchester. But when they died, they were denied a Christian burial. Even if their bodies are not here, we hold their memory here as the very first of the outcasts that were thrown away into this outcast graveyard. I'm sorry. We are in the middle of the vigil already, but we will soon be starting on our first ritual, and Jenny will hold the first ritual, and it will be, as we have already mentioned, we come back to basics. We start in silence. And like the idea that pops into our head, would just be that spark. Like these lights surrounding Red Cross Mary. But spark in the dark. And we breathe out. And each one of our simple, very few little rituals, we practice where we've brought the world with us. We practice letting go. We let go of a little bit. We let go of our noise and just be the silence. We give our noise away. It doesn't vanish, but we can be aware of the silence that's behind the noise, the silence inside us, the silence outside. If ever you want to hear a silence, stick your nose right into the garden through the gate. Feel silence, you can taste it. We give away. We give ourselves away at the sacred offerings. If somebody wants to come up here, they give away a verse, a song, a statement about themselves, telling us why they've come to Crossbones, anything. We give away at the act of binding and loosing. And as we give away and empty, there's room for something else to enjoy the ritual.
This candle represents the shining emptiness. In a moment, we're going to have a minute's silence in which you need to concentrate on the candle and on that emptiness, so that any noises, any sights, sounds, sensations can come and go with nothing to hold on to, just the state of shining emptiness. And in that state, all souls, outcast or not, been drawn to the candle and are with us now. Pathways.
Now, the next ritual that we perform in this act of sacred profanity is the ritual of binding and loosing. We, the royal we, have brought 23 ribbons. If there's more than 23 of you, you'll either have to use your own ribbon or use a virtual ribbon, or just hang yourselves on the gates. Jenny and Lily, would you go? Jenny and Lily are going to move amongst you like God in a mysterious way and hand out as many ribbons as can be. We use the ribbons as gifts. Truly, if you do not have a ribbon, remember the people who are at the Zoom vigil, they haven't even really got gates to hang it on. They are hanging their virtual ribbons on their virtual gates. And that's as real as what we're doing here in the physical. We hang our real or our virtual ribbons ourselves as prayers, as offerings, which we tie to the gates, and that's the binding. And the loosing isn't the untying, the loosing is we disattach ourselves from it and we step away. So even though that part of ourselves is always here, when we step away, we're whole and complete without it. We have disengaged ourselves from it. If you're going to tie a ribbon on the gate and you really can't think of what you're going to tie it for, the suggestion always is, this is the world of the outcast dead and alive, the outcast on the outside and the outcast on the inside. If you can't think of anything else, think of your most hated enemy. Imagine them standing next to you, and when you tie the ribbon, wish them everything you wish yourself. Reclaim the outcast. How we do it, there are those of us amongst us who know the prayer. It's not really a prayer, it's a poem really describing what we're doing. And what we do is we say it out loud, and we repeat the poem 5 times in total. If you know it, join in. If you don't know it, echo what you resonate with maybe, or echo what you want to say, what you feel to say. And you can do a different bit on each time, because this is the liberty. So this is how it goes, and this is the first one. Please, Zoom vigilers, turn your sound on and all join in together. Here lay your hearts, your flowers,
your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums.
Here,
Hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have beens, your lock, keys, your mysteries.
here
Lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums. Here hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have beens, your locks, your keys, your mysteries. Here lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums. Here hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have beens, your locks, your keys, your mysteries. Here lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums. Here hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have beens, your locks, your keys, your mysteries. Here lay your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums. Here hang your hopes, your dreams, your might have beens, your locks, your keys, your mysteries.
as near perfect as it's going to be. Please remember that we're not in church. If you feel like a flaunting, have a good clap. Yay! this next part is when you lot start doing something. Well, you have been doing something obviously already, but this is when you are invited to actively step forward and be part of the sacred offerings. Now, the sacred offerings is not an open mic. We welcome people to come and offer something short and sprightly. Oh, I'm getting too warm again. We start and we close by goose words to make sure we hear lots of what the goose has to say to us. And then we invite people to come and offer a verse, offer a poem, offer a song, offer anything you like. So what I'm looking for now is who would like to be giving any sacred offerings. Moo the Druid is going to give us something. Wait, it's going to be a short one tonight. Are you sure? Nobody? Please don't feel. Oh, well done, Larry. Please don't feel that because we've started, you can't then offer. When there will be more offerings. And Johnny, thank you. There's always going to be more time. You might feel inspired when you hear some of the offerings. So please come in a little bit closer because I really am shouting at the top of my voice. Thank you, friends. We always start with goose words. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story now. Last month, I don't know if you attended the vigil, but last month we invoked Bridie. And part of the invocation was for us to receive and transmit her sacred benedictions. To me, that's a really good thing to know, that we don't have to offer anything until we've received it. We're not making this stuff up. We're receiving it first, and then we're transmitting it. Last month, when I was offering the first of the goose poems, instead of offering what the goose had told me she wanted me to offer her, I had what I thought was a really good idea, and I was going to offer another poem. And it started really well until I came to a place where suddenly my mind was like the stillest of pools. All of a sudden, I had absolutely no idea what came next. And so I abandoned that and went back to the poem that I was supposed to be reciting in the first place. When I went home and I looked at what I'd forgotten, oh, looks a mussy and surprise, surprise, it was compassion. If I've not learned compassion, at least I've learned to be able to say the word. So you lot, like it or not, are going to get the poem again. And if I go, can you shout compassion? Yes, I've been here before, dear. Oft times in chastened circumstance, I lay with Master Geoffrey at the tabard, making dalliance afore wending on his pilgrimage to tell a tale of Canterbury, and I rode out beside him as the child of Mary Overy went riding for a vision of humanity, man, God, and beast communing for one moment in eternity, and the healing of the sick. And the questioning divinity who asks herself, what am I to permit such wanton misery? And compassion for all souls who dwell in the shadows of mortality, compelling her to take on very flesh of that infirmity till she's born a crafty whore, stewed in a southern hostelry, and using all her wherewithal to take a pilgrim's fancy and lay with him and play with him and open eyes to see the goddess that on judgment day shall stand by man and make his plea. And I was in that miller's wife who pushed her Tusha Absalom, who kissed him many a wench's lips, but Mary's such a hairy one. You don't know me yet, dear. Will, dear. I'm a tricksy tart, dear. My aim is to astonish you. the Druid. Would you like to step forward, mate?
I will. I'm going to do one which has brought me to here, actually, to the Crossbones. My friend Johnny brought me here just in passing, and he told me a bit of a history. But there was some energy that spoke to me, and the goose gave me these words, and it was one of the most beautiful things. So yeah, I'll give you the Winchester geese. Oh, you fond fowls of wanton pleasure, with you we found our greatest treasure. In glorious ecstasy and carnal needs, we sated our lust, our want, our greed, without thought of your desires, not wishing you our children to sire. But a few dirty coins, the deed was done, then tossed aside until the sun arose upon another day. It was no reason for us to stay. And once again, the need was there for us to come again to share our dirty seeds of carnal lust. They leave again yourselves to dust away the bitter, torturous, languid tears. We sowed our seeds, not once to think upon your fears. No Christian burial for you, unholy birds. Whilst us in church on bended knee repeat the words of love, forgiveness, righteous piety. Then go about our business, not so blind not to see that you lovely birds kept us fulfilled. With our feral lust, the same we killed, the very source that life gave us. Say to our needs, we need to save us. Till finally, companionship at last, to sleep amongst the bones of others very cold and marked beneath stones, to keep you far away from hallowed ground. At last, to find release from the hell that you had known. So here today, I do say this prayer for you lovely geese, lying there, may the most holy and righteous love, and we of peace, take you to those heights above. Rest in peace, you wondrous geese.
Somebody, Larry, would you like to step forward, please?
Just like to share a really personal journey. I've been shooting over London and all over the UK and everywhere, sort of searching for stuff like this. Not searching, but just to feel the energy. And in the last week, looking at John Michelle's stuff, which now John as well, and looking at a lot of the books that talk about the ley lines and the energy. I discovered that at the very bottom of my road is a sacred well, covered up now by a roundabout. It's not something that you would ever notice as being holy or something that was holy or sacred in the past, but it's there. And it forms a triangle with Barking Abbey. It's the East Ham Triangle, they call it in these books. And the other one's St Mary Magdalene Church. St Mary Magdalene, I don't know if you heard the baby that was found in the shopping bag not too long ago. I was about 200 yards down the road with my son in a pub when that baby, the very spot where that was taken, that's opposite St Mary Magdalene. It's part of that sacred triangle. So I think it's everywhere. But I do invite you to, of all nights, to look up there and see what we see. Now, we've got the moon goddess up there. But a lot of people might condemn the modern, okay, that monolith up there. But to me, that's like a modern day pyramid. The very top of that, the restaurant's called the Obelisk. You know, this is what pyramids were built for man to get close to the heavens. That is a modern day pyramid. It's the shape of a pyramid, and it sits over this graveyard. And tonight you've got the moon, Isis, you've got the obelisk, you've got Osiris there, and it's looking down on our sacred place. So I'm not a person who believes in coincidences. Personally, I just invite you to mull that one. It might resonate, it might not, but that's my feeling about what's shining down on this cold, damp February night. But that to me is no coincidence. So, yeah,
Very Larry's theme on of Isis and Osiris. Here where they built the shard, at the foot of the shard, they found a pot that in Latin, translated into English, said, "In London at the Temple of Isis."
Not bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Isis. Now, Johnny wanted to speak. Thank you. Come on, Johnny.
Okay, since the last time Miguel and myself were here, we lost someone who was very, very dear to us, and that was our friend Jenny. And like, well, probably the first ritual I ever did in my life, it was with Miggy and Jenny, and I felt so much for that I felt that I had to go and do something that I've been trying to do for 11 years. And I don't know if some of you guys know, I do Jack the Ripper tours in Whitechapel, but I've always been trying to champion the women's lives. Before, like, Hayley Rubenhold did it, when my mate Neil got me into it, I've been trying to get one of the victims a gravestone. So after my mate Jenny died, I went down to the cemetery. It was on the 7th of August, wasn't it, mate? Yeah. And the cemetery where she's buried, and I put in an application for her to have a gravestone. And then our friend Lindsay got in touch with me and said, like, all right, well, let's like put it down to that, okay? Because like at the end of the day, like, you put all the money in, you're in, they're not going to let you do it. But St. Magic happened on the 9th of November, 1990, sorry, this year. It's like last year. And so Miguel, myself, and Lindsay, we all met up in Whitechapel to go down to the last victim's grave and put flowers down. And Lindsay said, I have a surprise for you guys. And the thing is, Lindsay and myself were always the champions to give Martha Tabram a grave, at least a gravestone. So it turns out there's new guys who are in charge of the cemetery. And when we all went down to the City of London Cemetery over by Manor Park, and I wasn't know what to think. So we turned up there, and so I've been fighting for 11 years to give this one woman, a forgotten woman of the streets of Whitechapel, who's never been considered as somebody who should be remembered. She had a plaque, and this man can tell you, as soon as I saw that plaque, I cried my eyes out. I cried my eyes out because that's fight, because I've always seen that woman as one of the dear girls who I've spent 31 years giving some humanity to, and not the fact that they were killed on the streets of Whitechapel. They are not just geese, they are the mightiest of geese, okay? And thing is, now they could be remembered and they could overshadow whatever scumbag who actually took their lives in 1888. So I like to say thanks to Mig for actually getting my back on that. And whoever my mate Lindsay is as well for helping to do it. And God love you to Martha Tabram. Thank you.
Jackie, oh, we're not going to do anything from your end. No, we're not going to risk it. You'll do it all together when we're done.
No, it's fine. We'll do it. We'll do it at the end. Yeah. Thank you.
You can say what you like. Can I suggest if ever you do stand here and speak to the people? Oh, lines of death, folks. There are quite a lot of us, and so for it to just to ensure that everybody can hear you, lift your voice up a bit. What I always do is aim at the woman that's hanging out the window up there, listening to us.
I'm in a group where there are people who are whose medication isn't working anymore, and they feel outcast. They've been outcast by their job,
and they've been asked by their partners because their condition can't be controlled anymore. So they have epilepsy that can't be controlled anymore. And being part of that, there are people who are outcast, who can't necessarily be a part of, they feel they can't be a part of the world. I was looking through the group, and some of them had written a couple of poems. And while I was standing there listening, I was debating whether to read one of the ones that they'd written, and then I thought, oh, maybe I'd read one or two of the ones that are there. They're only short. One of the ones, the girl called Progression. So after she wrote these poems about how she was feeling, then a lot of other people who also felt outcast reached out. Yeah. So this one's called Regression. She says, there I was at 16, counting down the days until I could drive, wishing for freedom and open highway, feeling so stuck and sick of being trapped in my own home. Here I am at 29, knowing I may never drive again, wishing for freedom and open highway, feeling so stuck of being trapped in my own home. My grandpa had a tackle box with endless, shiny, pretty little lures. He'd peer in and consider the day. Use a flashy one if it's a sunny day. Avoid using worms in a shallow part. How's the rain been that year? What kind of fish are you wanting to catch? What's biting based on the whispers circling around town? He'd select the right one and pluck it on the line with a smile of hope. I have a giant pillbox with warnings and side effects and instructions for what to use and when. This one is daily. This one only use when needed if you feel a seizure coming. If you sense a tonic-clonic, avoid this list of medications that counteract the ones that you need. Have you had any infections recently? When was the last date of your last period? What is your water intake? Have you tried to lose weight? What do you mean you're always exhausted? I reach into the box, select the colourful, cheery 12 that start each day of mine, and plop them into my mouth without a single hint of hope. I thought of the people that were outcast when we were doing this, and I'd read their poem.
Rightly said, humbling, isn't it? When there are outcast people that we've not even considered. Blessings to those people. If they can come here, the garden's open, you can bring them to the garden. Any more? Or any more? Anybody suddenly inspired? I'm going to end this part of the ritual.
Let's all just moving a little bit closer then. Thanks. All together. All together as one here.
Thanks. When we talk of the goose and we talk of spirit, some of us find it hard to relate to these words, to relate to the goddess, to relate to. Goose in her words tells us what she is. I am the wind. I rake the wild grasses. I am the reaper, the sower, the seed. I am the days of the bonny lads and lasses. I am the night where their secret paths lead. I am the sense wind and the flower in your fingers. I am the musk in the dusk of the day. I am the ghost of a smile that lingers where the face where it flickered has faded away. I am the song of a blackbird in Eden. I am the waft of the butterfly wing, and I am here in the static and stutter that shutter how much I can take in. I'm the white noise of a nervous system. I am the silence in which it reroots. I am the gods and the men who resist, the madness in the eyes of the men in suits. I am in George, I must conquer my dragon. I am in Martha, I nurse the red gash. I am Hag Keridwen with her raw red rag on. I am Kali, razor in the flash and slash. I am the light in the shadow revealing. I am the grace that transfigures the sin. I am the wound that prefigures the healing. I am the light that the traveller's in. I'll be your icon, your muse, your conceit. I'll be whatever you would have me be. I'll be Mary Magdalene washing your feet if it helps you see through what divides you from me. John Constable, ladies and gentlemen, John Constable Crafts, the Southern Mysteries, and the Goose. Thank you very much. You may now applaud.
That's the way to go.
If anybody feels what I do when I recite the poetry, what any of us do when we recite Goose poetry, of which there is umpteen, we become Goose rhapsodes. It means you've learnt a poem by heart, and then you can pour it back out by heart. If anybody wants to become a Goose rhapsode, have a quick look through here. If you wanted to learn 2 lines and recite it, take a photo. If you want to learn the longest poem in the book, fine, take a photo. Learn it for the joy of it, and if you feel like sharing it with the rest of us, please come along and Goose rhapsode one of the poems in the book. You'll be very welcome. Well, we've reached the end of our ritual, the end of the vigil. And in order to achieve the last blessings, this is what we do. This hat has gone on and off all night. Now we find somebody, a volunteer, who's in the face. What we do at the last, where we've been dancing in and out, we've come in close, we've gone out a bit further, we've come in to hang our ribbons on the gates, we've danced back out again. For the last time this evening, we dance forward, get as close as you possibly can to the gates. Hang on to the gates. If your nose is there, stick your nose through, experience the silence. We are going to be sealed in by gin. We reclaim gin. Gin was the crack cocaine of the 17th century. Or was it the 18th? I can never remember.
Oh God.
Penny a pint, blind in a fortnight. We reclaim gin and we seal ourselves in. This is our sacred fluid. And we make 2. Have we stopped chatting already?
Well, I thought it might be, but it's actually gin.
It's what we use in our repertoire.
So sorry.
At the graves, we drink gin.
Going on here.
Around because she's next some of it.
Ah,
What we do is we get as close as we can to the gates, touch the gates. If you can't touch the gates, touch somebody who is touching the gates, and we make the first blessing, which is the blessing of the cobblecloths, and then we make the blessing of the goose, the goose's blessing. So what we do, this is a repeat, an echo. So I say a line, you say a line. I try and remember not to say anything extraneous because you end up all repeating it. So are we ready? Are we steady? Are we sealed in? Touching. Life.
Life.
Health.
Health.
Happiness. Open pathways.
Open pathways.
Pathways,
Life.
Health.
health,
Happiness.
happiness,
Open pathways.
In the body.
Health
health in the body, peace in the spirit, love in the heart,
Health in the body.
body, peace in the spirit,
Love in the
love in the
heart.
heart.
It's
It is that we wish
for ourselves,
for us-
for
for friends and family,
for all our siblings,
siblings,
for the goose and the
geese and the
crow,
crow.
and for all humanity. It
It is this that we wish
for ourselves,
ourselves,
for our friends,
for our friends and family,
our siblings,
all our siblings, for the goose and the crow,
all humanity,
for all humanity.
May it be so.
May it be so.
Goose, may you never be hungry.
Goose, may you never be hungry.
Be thirsty.
Goose, may you never be thirsty.
Fly free.
Goose, may your spirit fly free.
Does everybody?
So she does. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Jen.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, there we are. Hang on a minute. There we are. We're back. There's been a lot of hello people on Facebook. There's been a lot of people looking on Facebook. I know there were 7 people on Facebook, Doug. So I think people are staying on Facebook instead of coming on here tonight, which is fine. So there were just as many of us as there usually are, just we're in different places, which is absolutely fine and delightful. And everyone is very welcome. We've all been at the vigil, wherever we were.
Yeah.
I've got some little things to share. Do you want to share anything, Doug, tonight?
Nothing special, no, but I've had a very strange day today.
Have you?
Yeah. I've got a lot of problems with my guttering. I've got water coming out all over the place. And somebody came and looked yesterday and said he'd be here today. Hasn't arrived. And I've been sitting there and waiting, not doing anything because I thought if I start anything,
Yeah.
he arrived. So I've sort of lost a lot of time today. So
That's a very frustrating thing, isn't it?
very frustrating. Yeah.
I'm glad you were here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got something to share from Drew, excitingly.
Yeah,
Drew's
good.
in Spain at the moment. He's just been on an adventure to Ibiza to look at the holy wells. He's been on pilgrimage to Ibiza, but
Oh,
he's also spending a lot of time in Spain.
Yeah.
And he's been in Barcelona, and he messaged me just before the Crossbones Vigil to say that he was in a church in Barcelona where he was making prayers to time in with the beginning of the Crossbones Vigil. And he sent me some photos and said that I should feel free to share them with everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share one, and I'll just read what he said, because he found a crossbones in the church.
Ah.
Let me share it with you. And then
Oh, yes.
can you see that? That's great, isn't it? Look at that. How clear is that? Let me read what he said. I'm just going to find it. He said, I'm at the Santa Maria del Mar Basilica in Barcelona. So that's Mary of the Sea, isn't it? It's got lots of altars to antlered saints. That's something from the group that I'm in, antlered saints, like wild saints, including Saint Tekla and Saint George. A floor panel near the shop also has this skull and crossbones. He says, I don't know if I can make it for the Zoom this evening, but feel free to show this to everyone else. And then he put some other photo. I don't know. I'm going to move this on and see if you can see the next photo. Is that changed?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He says, and they have Guadalupe, who's very relevant to Crossbones, isn't she?
Yeah.
Let me move on. That's beautiful. And there's another one.
Mm.
And he said, I will finish my prayers just as Crossbones is beginning. Please do visualize me holding the light in shining emptiness, all the way over here in Maria del Mar, the Basilica of Maria, Mary of the Sea in Barcelona. There you go. Thank you, Drew.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Guadalupe. Well, there you go. We've done it again. We've managed another vigil, everyone.
I follow somebody in Barcelona every day.
It's an amazing place, Barcelona. It's beautiful. Oh, do you? That must be lovely. Yeah.
I've got a couple of Brazilian ladies that look after me. come and see me and help me do different things. And this young lady, she is the sister of the mother's goddaughter,
Oh,
and they both look alike. They could be twins.
wow.
They're both totally mad, fitness freaks.
Hooray. Oh, hooray.
Yeah. This one, she shows you all around Barcelona, and she shows you the track that she's run during that day. That
Oh, how
morning.
great.
Did a whole
Yeah,
the other week, yeah.
it's a
They-
beautiful city.
Things she finds there, amazing. It's an amazing city.
It's nice to know somebody who knows places, isn't it?
Yeah.
How fabulous. Oh, I like Barcelona's very lovely. So anyway, Drew's there at the moment. So we've got a crossy connection
Yeah,
with
man.
Barcelona. Yeah. So I'm going to stop the Facebook live stream is what I'm going to do. So let's say goodbye to Facebook. Bye, Facebook. Thank you for
Okay.
being here. There's that. And then I'm going to stop the recording.
Yep.
Bye, everyone watching the recording.